Welcome in, everybody, to Extreme Radio, presented by GracePointe Healthcare. Go to GracePointeHealthcare.com. Mention you're with 8-Man Extreme when you request your appointment online. $20 off your new patient office visit fee. GracePointe Healthcare, modern medicine the old-fashioned way. And DrSterlingFoster.com. With Dr. Sterling Foster, you can talk to him about all your digestive issues and chiropractic needs.
And we're also brought to you by Jets Pizza. Listen, I'm a pizza guy. I like pizza all day, every day. I actually have a Jets Pizza about 10 minutes from my house, and guess what? It happens to be one of the specific ones we want you to go to. We want you to go to all of them, but specifically Springfield, Fort Campbell, Clarksville. If you're in that area, go hit them up. But no matter where you are, what you're doing, the situation, it's always a great time to say, let's get Jets.
We got a new sponsor.
We do. Listen, okay, I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I got a full-time job. There's a lot of things I've got to worry about. There's one thing I don't want to worry about. That's buying insurance, because it's definitely something that's important that you have to. I'll be 25 in October. It's something that I'm definitely already looking at. I'm already thinking about, checking stuff out. We have the solution. I found the solution. It's IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Super easy to remember. Fun name to website to remember. IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Joe Graves is the man. He's the guy behind it. He's going to make it happen. He's going to hook you up. He's going to be able to find you. There's a lot of services out there that can help you find insurance. Just give him a shot. That's all I'm saying. Give him a try. Let him look around. Let him shop around. See what he can get you. So go check him out. IHateBuyingInsurance.com.
And in case the website isn't working, you could go search I Hate Buying Insurance on Facebook, and you'll be able to find that easily. But thanks to Joe Graves for being our new sponsor for the season. Just a week late from our Week 1 recap that we're going to go over in just a minute. But a
very important sponsor, just like all of ours.
Of course, all of them are important. It's a great weekend of football, James. It's really good games. I mean, as you were saying, it's always great to cover the teams twice, but, we would have loved to have been at that Bowling Green FCS game or even that Franklin Christian
Both
South
of them
Haven
were
game.
crazy.
Wish we could have gone to both of those or sent broadcast crews over there.
The Lancaster Heat game was crazy.
It was. Even
the result.
Yeah, the result was pretty crazy on it and such, but, James always likes to give great predictions to certain teams he may have bias for.
Listen, okay, if you want to go back, replay the tape, I picked Lancaster to win.
Uh-huh.
Now, the game, it is what it is. I picked Lancaster to win.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against the Heat. But I saw all the weapons Lancaster had, and I said, you know what? I think they pick up the win here. And they did it. They did it. Now for the Heat, I saw good things last night. I saw a lot of good things from the Heat last night. At the end of the game, during the game, there were a couple plays that they had a little spark. They could have, they're at the in the first half, they were only down it was 26-0. I mean, decent lead. We've seen crazier. They had a play from Carter Sutton, could have given them a little spark, and they just couldn't convert. And that was the trouble for them last. They just couldn't get that spark to get going. So that's something they're going to have to find, hopefully before next week.
Yeah, next week the Tennessee Heat travel down to Huntsville to face off against the Freedom Cowboys. And Lancaster next week on a 1-0, they travel not that far away to Antioch to face off against Lighthouse Christian School. The other games we weren't at, Bowling Green Christian and Franklin Classical, and of course 50-0 was the final score of the game that we were at for Lancaster. If you don't already have it, download the Tennessee High School football app so you can see all the scores and follow along.
And get the bell on, not just on YouTube, on our channel. Get the bell on the app, because you can get live updates as the games happen.
46-34, Classical gets their first win. We were looking at this prior to the show. First win since 2017 against an active MTAC team.
Don't spoil it.
I'm
All right, well, you already said it. Yeah, first win again. They beat the Tennessee Heat in August of 2017, and that was the last time that they beat like you said, an active MTAC. They beat Hendersonville Christian that year. So if you want to go back to active MTAC teams, almost 2 years since they beat one. I mean, it's been a drought. It's been a long time. But Coach Brandon Soraya, I think his name is, he's come in and he's given them a little spark.
Yeah, the new head coach. Of course, they still have Seth Witherington on their coaching staff. He's just moved to the offensive coordinator position.
A little bit of assisting.
Assisting with potentially a playoff run for the Franklin Classical School Knights, depending on how they perform throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, but I picked them to win that game.
You picked them to win that one game.
Come on.
They got others. So, final game that we had this week, is all the rest of them were on byes before going in. Unless you have something.
We got to break this game down. I
could have sworn you just broke it down.
Okay. So, for those of y'all who don't know, all right, if you know, you know, whatever. You can tune this part out. So, Bowling Green, I want to give the backstory about how crazy this game was, all right? So, Bowling Green Christian took a 22-6 lead in the first quarter. They scored with 4 minutes left in the first quarter, and up until that point, it was the Gage Holman show. 2 touchdown runs. I mean, one was for 52 yards, and then he had a 49-yard connection with David Crow. And so they led 22-6. And I don't know what happened, but something turned around. And Sam Hubbard was the quarterback for Classical last year, the majority of the year, when he wasn't hurt. And I don't want to say I was openly critical of him. Matthew Herrera, I don't know why I said Brandon. Matthew Herrera is their head coach. He's done something with that team, or that team has done something. I know they just got back from a school retreat this last week. That's why the game was moved. Something flipped. Light switch flipped, whatever. Okay? You're down 22-6. At that point, some teams would pack it up, right? And you just go into a let's not get injured mode. Sam Hubbard threw for 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns. Josh Solstrom. And most of the time you see 6 touchdowns in a blowout win, right? Or like last year, the Bowling Green FCA game, or the Bowling Green FCA, where it's just a crazy score, like over 100 points scored. There weren't even 100 points scored in that game last night. 6 touchdowns. Josh Solstrom, younger brother Ben Solstrom, rushing champ for MTAC in 2015, had 3 touchdowns himself. 3 receiving touchdowns. Clay Lott had a couple touchdowns. Jed Mangrum had a touchdown. Hubbard ran for it. So basically, he threw for 2 touchdowns. Solstrom had a rushing touchdown. So Hubbard threw for 3 touchdowns, and then he ran for 1. So he counted for 6 touchdowns. Okay, that's the leadership that you have to have, and that's what some quarterbacks in the league need to look at that, and they need to kind of take a note from that. Because that's saying, hey, we're going to either that's the coach putting him in a position to where he's going to succeed, or that's him just taking it on himself and say, hey, guess what? Nobody thinks that I should be the starter right now. Nobody believes in me right now. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. That's what they have to do. And give props to the Bowling Green quarterback, David Crow. I mean, just insane numbers. I mean, especially, he's able to throw to Cam B. He's able to throw to Gage Holman. So, just a great showing last night. The score, I don't know what happened in the second half. I heard there was a lot of cramping. It also might set the record for longest actual game. I think it lasted about 3 hours and 15 minutes. So it's one of the longer games we've seen in a while. But also, here's another cool stat about that. That was the first time, if I'm wrong, obviously correct me, whatever. That was the first time that a first-year head coach has beaten a coach with a winning record in his debut.
It's crazy.
I believe that's because Don Brown was 16-13. So Herrera came in, beat him in his first game. So, pretty crazy stat there.
That, and we talked about this last year with the longer games because of the overtime game we had last year. I think close to it, it may have been Aaron Academy. Franklin Christian is up there on the list.
A couple years ago.
That game lasted 4 hours.
It was like a 4 overtime game. That one was crazy, but yeah, I mean, it was
that one was Aaron Academy was 6 points short of 100. It was like 94 to 42.
Well, it's like it's like that Bowling Green Franklin Christian last year.
His last year opening game of the season.
That's how you kick. And I'll tell you what, just like last year, that's a great way to kick the season off. Just
Yeah.
games like that.
Yeah, we had a good game to kick off the season though with Lancaster Heat because there were some good moments in it too.
That was a coming out party.
Good to see the freshman
It was
quarterback coming
yeah.
back from it.
And Jordan Horde, who we saw a little bit of in the Jamboree, but they found. I know I said that no one's irreplaceable. They replaced Matt Bowden. They found their guy to step in place of Matt Bowden. And speaking of losing, starting really good running backs, how about that FCA South Haven game?
That's perfect segue there. Classical school has a bye week, and then they go to Riverside in week 3. Bowling Green Christian, they got to turn right around for their first North matchup of the year, hosting Christian Community. But to go through your segue there, what a close game and a rematch of the final game of the regular season and the first regular season game of the year, technically, since the kickoff was at 6 o'clock. So they ended the year last year. They kicked off the season this year. 24-18, the Falcons have managed to get the win over South Haven. The Patriots, they fought hard. They're still looking for their first win since the MTAC championship in 2017. Can't mention that enough because the Patriots, it was just such a historic win back then, and they've had their struggles throughout the year, and hopefully they'll be able to turn it around. James has got a few predictions on there, but now 24-18 up in Springfield, such a close game, such amazing things to see. 24-18. What was the big things that you saw from the scoring updates?
Well, South Haven was up 12-0 in the first quarter. They had it going right first half. Crawley hit Dang for 28 yards. He had a 1-yard run for a touchdown. A couple minutes into the game, it looked like, okay, here you go. I picked South Haven. Looks like South Haven's going to take off, pick up their first win since the 2017 MTAC championship. Then here comes that senior, that leadership. Daniel Holcomb, 22-yard touchdown pass to Andrew Hasley. And then they changed. I don't know what happened. Wild card. I haven't seen all the film. I don't know if it was a wildcat or what. But Zach Dooley hit a 51-yard touchdown pass, David Carpenter, and that tied the game up. 8 minutes to go in the first half. That's how we went into halftime. Okay? Hang on a second. Okay, I'm back. So second half, Drew Atkinson, 2-yard touchdown run. Young guy getting a chance to punch it in there. And then this was kind of, this was the answer FCA needed. Asa Sheets, 40-yard touchdown run, tied the ball game up. Going to the fourth quarter, right at the beginning of the fourth quarter, just a couple minutes in, Patrick Sharn, 1-yard touchdown run, just punched the ball in when he needed it to. They took the lead, and just the defense hung on from there. I mean, late in the game, $1:50 to go, FCA had the ball 3rd and 1 and then 4th and 1 with the clock running, 55 seconds. They stopped the clock, 4th and 1, able to convert, win the ball game. I mean, it was a gutsy game.
Very gutsy indeed, and it's a big thing. There was a lot of speculation in the offseason if John Buchanan would return to FCA, and chose not to return and went back to Centennial. But regardless of them not having John Buchanan, FCA is looking like a threat in the South. Like this year's MTAC South, there are a lot of question marks around this, at least the 3 teams we saw, Christian, Classical, and Lancaster. There are a lot of question marks on what they're going to do in the chase for the playoffs. And we're going to see more of the South teams playing next week. We'll see Riverside and Iselle Harding make their debuts.
Nice job.
No, because those are the only 2 South. There are only 3 South teams that are playing. Like I said, Lancaster at Lighthouse next week, but Swanee we won't. Their first game won't be until week 3. So we'll see a little bit more of the questions answered between Iselle and Riverside. But there are a lot of questions right now for Franklin Christian and Classical, especially because it looked like they were going to be more in rebuilding years, but now they're looking like a threat in the South.
If this keeps up the pace that it's going, if both of these teams keep going on, and they're going to lose some games throughout the year, I've got both of them at about 500, or just below 500 in FCA. So if FCA, goes the way that I think they will, they'll be a 500 team. I've got Classical, I think, just below 500. But if they keep this going, that Battle of Franklin game is going to be fun. That's going to be a blast. Just going back and forth.
It's always a blast, regardless of what their records are in the season or not, man. That Battle of Franklin last year, Isaiah and I did, he wore the FCA jersey and such, but,
Well, we can't do that this year.
We
but
might be able to. I mean, he's on the coaching staff. We could ask if he's wanting to do that bet again.
Nah, I don't see that happening.
He probably wouldn't agree to it, but maybe he's more he has more confidence this year.
Well, I'm just saying I'm not going to wear FCA.
No. I'm saying to have Isaiah do it.
All right.
Because you
doubt
don't
it.
care.
Maybe.
You don't care wearing any of the team's merch, though. It's
Exactly.
Isaiah who cares. Like, honestly, I wouldn't have cared wearing an FCS jersey and cap. Like, I would not have cared at all. It's just that Isaiah cares about it.
Tis what it is. Well, now he's on the coaching staff, supposedly, and,
he might not be willing to do it.
Pictures of him, wearing FCA gear. So
I'm surprised they let him back on the coaching staff after that.
Coach might not have seen the picture.
South Haven is going to go on 2 bye weeks, which we do have to talk about this before we get into our interview for today. But unfortunately, Sacred Heart has officially dropped out of 8-man football this year. They tried to do a co-op, but the school they were looking for, they only had maybe 1 or 2 people contribute.
Well, there were a lot of technicalities with it. It wasn't going to work.
A lot of technicalities. They would have had to declare ineligible for the postseason because of co-oping with the school before the deadline, going through all of that stuff. So Sacred Heart officially dropping out of MTAC play.
But let's back up.
Of course.
You would have realized that something was off if you had read the 2019 Extreme Preview that came out Friday afternoon.
If you haven't read it, go read it.
You're gonna want to head to Tennessee High School Football website. Mm-hmm. Go check it out. It's right there on the main homepage. Shout out to Chad Withrow, all those guys for putting it on there. But obviously we left Sacred Heart out because that's what happened. That's the situation. So you hate to see it. You wish that they could have done something like the Heat just to keep their program going. But it's tough in the area that they're in and not having any teams nearby to kind of make something happen with them.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, they could have tried to make a co-op with some school closer to them, but they did try with one. It's just that they would only have had maybe 10, 11 guys.
If they could have tried with Madison Academic,
right,
could have gotten Will Hugley back on the team.
Yeah, they would have. They could have tried a few of those teams. That's the only problem is that with those little numbers, they would have pulled what Holloway High did many years ago, where they only had 9 guys on the roster.
Well, Sacred Heart played with 9 or 10 guys a couple years ago. A few years ago, one of Ashlock's year. Actually, I think it was right before the whole championship thing went down.
That was 2015?
Yeah, I think it was either 2014 or 2015. Might have been 2014. I don't know.
Yeah, they had that situation. So, unfortunately, Sacred Heart dropping their schedule. So, with that, South Haven has 2 bye weeks. And
it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for them to practice and work out the kinks, such, but it can also be a detriment to a team because of the amount of break they have in between a real-time game.
I don't like it at all.
You don't like 2 bye weeks?
That's tough, especially to start your season right after a tough loss like that. You don't want that scenario to go on.
You know what that means now? There are several other teams that have 2 bye weeks now.
There's a lot.
Yeah, Bowling Green now has 2 bye weeks, October 4th and 11th, unless they pick up a game then. Lighthouse Christian has 2 bye weeks, October 4th and October 11th. With Sacred Heart also dropping out, none of the teams in the South have 2 bye weeks.
Well, yeah, they didn't put any South teams on their schedule.
They only scheduled their games with the North teams by their minimum. But South Haven has 2 bye weeks, and Franklin Christian, they have a bye week before they face off against St. Andrews Swanee. So those were all the games for this week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to have coaches and various members of the league on the show so that we can get insight into the teams, see some of the background, and especially know all the stuff that's going on. And today's guest, as you can already see in the YouTube description, we've got the head coach for Riverside Christian Academy, Mr. Travis Creasy. Creasy, how exciting is it for you to be back into football and back in full swing this year?
Hang on just a second.
Yeah, he's having a little bit of low microphone issues on his part. We've got him fully up on our side. It must be a little bit distant.
Computer
from the
turned up
there. Let me try that real quick. Try again, Coach. Still a little bit quiet. I could hear you, but it's not really picking up on our end. still really quiet. Yeah, it's one of those moments where you're trying to get it up on this end, but it's yeah, I don't know what it is. It's not picking up here. Yeah, just a little bit of technical difficulties here. At least we did get the coach, and that's the important thing. Yeah, just trying to get this up real quick.
Oh, the beauties of a live show.
Yeah, the beauties of a live show by far. Let me try doing a disconnect real quick.
If we had a David Reed type of person,
we'll
that
try
would
to get
work
it
out.
reconnected and see that. If we had somebody actually doing the live stuff on here, that'd make it a lot easier.
We need an engineer.
we need one of those. Again, 8manextreme@gmail.com. We can get you back on.
Spencer, while we have this time, I'm gonna do a shameless plug.
Oh boy!
All right,
get the bell on.
Well, we mentioned that earlier. Listen, all right. Extreme Talk, last season, somewhat controversial at times. Had some good interviews.
Yeah, it's coming out this week.
This year, we're gonna focus more on the interviews. So this Thursday, first episode of Extreme Talk drops. Our guest, my guest, Matt Bowden, former Lancaster running back. You're not going to miss it. We talked about his backstory a little bit. We talked about him going to KCU. So there you go.
That's awesome. Coach, try again now. Let's see if we can get you. Yeah, I could hear him very slightly. It's just his microphone's very quiet. Maybe try going into your app settings and turn up the volume adjustment. It might be something with your headset. I'm not sure. Still very quiet. We got it turned up on our end.
Turned it all the way up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all the way up on our end. Let me try one more time here. Say something now. Yeah, it's still really quiet. I don't know why. Still about the same volume. I don't know what it is. It might be your headset has low output on the volume here. Again, the beauties of a live show, James.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dare time.
Here, let me try something with this.
Dare time.
Here, let me try something with this. Sorry about all the dead air time, ladies and gentlemen. Just trying to get this up for you.
Check, testing. Yeah. By the way, if you have not gone and downloaded the new helmet schedule, go get that helmet schedule. Dropped last Monday.
Try it again, Coach. It's not getting much from him here.
Well, we might have to call an audible there, Spence.
Yeah, that looks like we might. Yeah, unfortunately, just some issues going down here with our equipment, or something going on between the connection here, because the volume is turned up on his end and turned up on our end. I'm not sure what it is.
Well, plan B.
What's our plan B, James?
I don't know. We'll have to go with plan B, though.
Yeah, well, we'll have to go plan C. Plan Q. We did a question and answer on our Instagram page. We did a question and answer page on our Instagram about. Well, we'll try one more time here with Coach. Try one more time with you, Coach. One more time, Coach. Coach, you there?
Nope, doesn't look like it.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, trying to get Coach Creasy in for the interview. Maybe what I'll have to do for our audible is maybe send him each of the questions, and we'll answer them verbally on air. I'm not sure.
We'll see. We'll see
But
what happens.
yeah, fortunately, just a little bit of disconnect on there. But we did a question and answer for all of for.
And thank you
what
for
is it
everyone
called?
for
Oh yeah,
participating.
we did a question and answer for those who wanted to ask their questions toward Travis Creasy going forward to his game and such. But
Got a lot of games coming up this week.
oh yeah, you want to head right into the
Let's
predictions?
jump in.
All right, we'll go
Let's
ahead and
jump in.
jump in. Hopefully, we could get Creasy after the predictions or so, but just having a little bit of issues over there. So now I can finally say it because James released them
right.
because he didn't do it last week. Follow on your helmet schedules top to bottom. We'll go right into the predictions here. We'll start out with the first North matchup of the year. For the Bowling Green Christian Academy Warriors, they host the Christian Community Colts and the defending conference champions against the permanent defending bowl champions. Obviously, they lost.
It's like in wrestling when they cancel a title and they just they go off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Get some water in there, Spence.
Yeah, I just needed to get the last bit of liquid refreshment. Christian Community, defending conference champions, defending bowl champions. The matchup is looking very interesting. Obviously, with the high-scoring game they had against Franklin Classical last year, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's. I'm excited to see how Bowling Green is going to respond off of that game. With Classical, it's. I mean, they're going to have to reboot and just get ready. And of course, they were able to face them in the Jamboree. So that obviously helps, and they know what they've got coming. But I'm looking forward to this game. Obviously, I've got Christian Community predicted to win. I'm not even going to touch scores with a 10-foot pole, but it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, and definitely just right off the bat, getting a divisional game out of the way, and getting that record on there so that you can jump right in. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be great.
So you got Christian Community.
I got Christian Community picked to win.
So that matchup set to be in.
I'm gonna love seeing that Gage Holman Brooks Pugh matchup because we saw that in the Jamboree. Just a taste of what happened in the Jamboree, and that's going to be the matchup to watch Friday night. I can't wait to watch that film. Be good stuff.
As we stated, South Haven won't be playing Sacred Heart due to them dropping out, so we head on to the next game with South Haven on bye week. The Tennessee Heat makes a long travel down to Huntsville, Alabama against the Freedom Cowboys, and it's looking like a decent matchup. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at the Freedom Cowboys and what they're bringing to the table this year, but they've always brought a competitive team to those that they play in the MTAC, especially last year, I believe Franklin Classical, I believe it was Christian Community hosted them.
They gave Christian Community all they could handle.
26-0 was the final score. The Colts managed to beat them, but that was the lowest score that any team held Christian Community to.
I thought it was
16. The regular season. It may have been even less than that. If it was 16,
I think it was 16.
If it was 16, that's still the lowest score. You have to look at the score.
I'm about to look at all the scores from last year.
But I think it was still it was either 26
16 no,
yep.
16-0.
Yep, 26 I'm thinking the
That's
MTAC
crazy.
championship. But yeah, it was 16-0 that the Cowboys held them to. So they've got a good team there, and they're facing off against the Tennessee Heat.
How about the Freedom and the roster isn't on Max Preps, obviously. We don't have a roster for Freedom, but just for a second, because obviously 5 teams from Tennessee are going to be playing Freedom. But I just want to look at their schedule real quick. Host the Tennessee Heat. They play a Lighthouse homeschool team out of Alabama. Ezekiel Academy, who's traditionally pretty good, usually plays for the championship in the league that Evangel's in. They go to Riverside Christian Academy first week of September. They go to Evangel Christian. They go to Banks Academy. They're in Alabama. Former 11-man team that came down to 8. They go to Franklin Christian, host Christian Community, and then host an East Central homeschool team, and then they go to Bowling Green Christian to kick off to wrap the year up. So, um, very interesting schedule there for them. Just a lot of travel, but I'm looking forward to seeing how Alabama their last year, and that was a crazy ball game. I believe it was week. Let's see, it was week number. Well, where did they? Oh, week number 6. And Lancaster came away with a 48-18 win. The Lighthouse, they lost Ricky McDowell, they've lost Michael Bond, but with the first week of school kicking back in this week for them, able to pick up some guys like a Nick Kennard. Christian Sharp is still there. Dedrick McLean is back for his senior year on the line. And I think they've got some legitimate weapons that could make some noise. They're gonna have to compete though with everything we saw last night from Lancaster, whether it's Deuce Bragg, the Moore brothers, Jordan Horde, just the array of talent that they have. Lane Spurlock on the line, T.J. Robbins at receiver, just a crazy lineup that Lancaster has. So Lighthouse and Coach Brian Hollis, they're gonna have to get a game plan together. Hollis was at the game last night, so he was able to see everything firsthand. So hopefully he can put some stuff together. They've got some great assistant coaches. Corey Fleming's on the staff. So, hopefully they can put some stuff together that will help combat all these weapons that Lancaster has. But I do have Lancaster picked to win.
Yeah, and 4 of the 5 North teams active this week. So the only one being off South Haven, so they could either catch our Extreme game of the week, or they could go watch one of the North games. Do some scoping out. And we head to the MTAC South, as we already mentioned. Lancaster Christian is the only one of 3 teams that's active. The only other 2 teams that are active, we're going to be there. First 8-man football game in history for Ezell Harding and the Eagles. They will be hosting the Riverside Christian Academy Knights, and that game is looking like it's going to be a potential shootout from what you've seen in the Jamboree, James.
Listen, everyone's writing off Riverside, okay? And when you look at it, they've only lost one. They lost one senior, John Trahan. Had a great junior year, had a good senior year. I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say that he was the only thing they had. They had Crutchy Rizel, Michael Black, Jake Krubelski, Jonathan Knotts on the line. They had guys that were young, and I would be remiss to not mention a guy who's been around since really his 8th grade year, Riley Hall. This is his senior year. This is his last ride. He's going to go into this looking to make some noise and looking to really, make one more last push, one more last run to get to the playoffs. And then to get in because they still haven't made the playoffs, the Division I playoffs. They still haven't made those playoffs. So that's their goal. That's not their goal.
And
but
with no more
that's
bowl
the
games,
first step.
It's a very big possibility.
It's a very huge possibility. I mean, if you want to go back and look, implement the 16 playoff in the last few years where they've done the bowl or whatever, they would have been in the playoffs 3 or 4 years. They might have won some games.
That's why you vouched for it for a long time.
For a long time. I mean, it's a chance to get in there and take a shot. And for Ezell, you know what? Everyone puts stock in the Jamboree. Everyone says, "Oh, this is how the team's going to go based off the Jamboree." Ezell didn't have their senior quarterback Derek Griffin playing. They didn't have him in there. He's just on another level.
That'll be the big question, is if he's starting for that Riverside game. But since it's been 2 weeks since the Jamboree, most likely he'll be starting.
I think he will. He had a little bit of an ankle injury, a little bang up, and so they kind of gave him the Jamboree off. But I think that he will, he'll get the team up and rolling. I'm trying to pull up his stats from last year because I'm really, really interested in looking at this. Something else Riverside's got is, of course, senior David Black is coming back. He was their quarterback 2 years ago. He got hurt last year, broke his collarbone. So Jake Rubelski did a great job. They don't have stats for last year. But, I'll be interested to see if they, and that's something I wanted to ask Creasy, will they run a 2-quarterback system maybe? I know you really don't want to give that away. But then for Ezell, you've got, what's his name? Hang on. Here's the roster. Coleman.
So they got Coleman.
Hang on. Braxton Coleman. Yeah. That's his first name, Braxton Coleman, a junior who really showed up during the jamboree, and I really like what he brought to the table. Of course, Starker was good, Lydell was good. Um, they've got a couple guys. You look at their line. They've got 5'11", 245. So pretty decent size. That's their center. That's kind of the heart and soul of their offensive line. I'm looking forward to seeing these two teams match up. Looking to see what Ezell does. I liked what they brought to the jamboree. I did, but that by no means is everything that they have. And I want to see what they've got because that's gonna, obviously for everyone, the first game of the year sets the tone. This game is gonna set the tone, and for Riverside, this might be one of the first times they've kicked off the season with a brand new team. And so for Riverside, this is a proving ground for them as well. Coming off of last year, they've got to show what they've got, and they've got to be able to rise up, make the trip up to Antioch.
Isn't that their hashtag now? Rise up?
Something like that, or last year.
It's rise up or press on, I think. Something like that. It's either rise up or press on.
But they've got to rebound. Like I said earlier, they've got a chance to make the playoffs. Ezell's got a chance to make the playoffs. I think both of these teams will be really, really good this year. I do have Ezell picked to win at home, first game of the year. I think they get it started off in the right foot. I'm looking forward to seeing a great crowd out there on Friday night.
In your predictions, I'll go a little bit into this, and of course, we're really looking forward to that first game on Friday night between the Eagles and the Knights. But in your predictions this year, who did you have as 1, 2, and 3 seeds in the South?
I had Lancaster, Riverside, and Ezell. Feel pretty good about those predictions too.
So that means Ezell would face off against the number.
Well,
2
no,
seed
that's not 1, 2, 3. Hang on, let me.
You had
pull them
those
up
guys.
real
I think
quick.
just estimated as they would be the top.
They
3
would be the
seeds.
top 3. If you want to go based off how I actually predicted them, I've got Lancaster 1, Riverside 2, Ezell 3.
You still stand by those predictions?
I do.
Yeah, especially with how Lancaster played last night against the Heat. That was a potential preview of a matchup in one of the in the quarterfinals or the first round of the playoffs. That was a preview.
I still think the Heat are a playoff team,
yeah,
especially with with Sacred Heart. Now you've got 5 teams vying for 3 playoff spots, and it's going to get heated. But I still think they're a playoff team.
You think either of the Franklin-based teams have a shot in there for that 3 seed?
It's going to take. Honestly, I think it will take an upset. It'll take an upset, and I don't think last night was an upset. It was a comeback, but it wasn't an upset in my opinion. And so I think that they'll definitely they can make a shot. They can take a shot at it, but it's going to take some upsets. And you know what? It might take a Lancaster beating. Lancaster and Riverside both beating Ezell to where they've got 2 losses. And then, FCA, winning the game against Ezell and then them, having one or, if they lose to Lighthouse and Riverside and then they beat Ezell, obviously they would win the tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. So, for a team like FCA, that's what they've got to do. Same thing for Classical. That's what they've got to do. And who knows? I talk about, everyone, Swanee wasn't in the Jamboree. We haven't seen Swanee yet. They've got some guys coming back. They've lost a lot of guys. They lost their one of their assistant coaches. But, I'm like I said, I predicted Swanee at 1-6. But who knows? They could come out and they could shock us. They start next week against Franklin Christian, who has this week off. So Swanee could come in. They could shock the world. And then, at that point, it's no bars hold.
Swanee's opening game is on the road at Franklin Christian, so they could shock everybody there. But the South is looking a lot more competitive than it's been in previous years.
I think the South will be the better division.
You think they'll?
I think overall.
You think they'll finally get over the hump and win the MTAC championship?
I don't know. They haven't won one real. You had the FCA Webb debacle with the co-champions. You had FCA win it
in
2015, and then before that, it was Classical back in 2011. So, or Webb in 2013 when they were in the South as well. Mm-hmm. So they've won some championships, but it's been a while.
Years.
It's been a while. If you really look at it, it was CCS and South Haven and Sacred Heart. They won. It was taken away, but they won. 2014, it was Lighthouse. 2012 it was CCS. So it's kind of gone back and forth, but the North holds the. Let me do my math. I think it's 5-5 right now. In terms of championship, if you know championships, I'm
pretty close.
counting, yeah. So I think it's 5-5 right now, maybe 6-5. So it's close, but the South, they really have not been able to make noise like they've needed to, and part of it's due to Webb. I mean, 2 years ago they came in as the number 1 seed in the South due to the coin toss, but they had a great season. They came in, they laid an egg against South Haven, they laid an egg against FCA. Last year, great playoff game, great playoff win against the Heat, and then laid an egg in the championship. So, Webb is part of the reason that the South has kind of gotten a bad rep, but I think they'll do better this year. I think the South, I definitely think the South team will be in the championship. Might be 2 South teams. Could be.
Yeah, now that there's a possibility of it being 2 South teams, how amazing would it be?
Well, the possibility's always been there, but
yeah, it's always been there for the semis, but it's more potential there with 3 teams from each division. It could be a North championship or it could be a South championship. Because we had that in 2017 where it was a North championship. 2016 it was an interdivision one, and is 2017 the last time that is it the only time that we've had 2 North teams in the championship, or how long?
No,
was it between
2012 you had CCS and Aaron Academy, as well as 2008 the first championship was CCS Aaron. So both in the North.
17.
Yeah, so it's how the South still has yet to put 2 South teams in the championship, and like I said, that could happen this year. There's a high possibility of that happening.
Even more likely depending on how the North shapes up as well.
Exactly.
With, teams like Bowling Green, South Haven, Christian Community always in the mix.
Well, the North didn't do so well last night. They went 0-3.
They went 0-3, yes, last night. But of course, 2 of the North teams were off. So
right.
Lighthouse and Christian Community. So we haven't seen them yet. But the majority of the North.
They didn't do well last night, so they got a lot to show.
It's going to be interesting to see for sure. Apologies again that we couldn't get Travis Creasy on the show. He was ready to go, but just some equipment issues going on. We'll make up for it and definitely get him on the show at some point later in the season. Maybe we'll get him. Maybe we'll get him later on. Who knows?
I'll tell you, what was really cool this last week was I was able to get on with RFCC Lebanon, Jonathan Thompson's Tennessee 8-Man update. You can go find him on Twitter, but he switched over to. He's not on SoundCloud. I think it's Mixcloud. Yeah. So a little 20-minute, 25-minute little podcast interview sort of thing, just talking about the games, talking about the jamboree. So you want to go give it a listen, get a little extra content. Go check it out.
Hear his predictions. He does scoring predictions on his.
He picks the score. I got way too much stuff going on in my life to try to pick the scores, man.
Try and just get a prediction on numbers on them. That would.
I like to be surprised. Surprise me. I don't want the stress.
That's why you do predictions pre-jamboree, is because you like to be surprised.
Well, and I don't want the stress of I pick like 40-34, and then I'm like, come on, just score another touchdown. Oh no, I need you to score a touchdown. I don't want that. I just pick the game, bam, done.
It's fantastic. Well, I think that's going to end it for this week's Extreme Radio. Early ending today, a 45-minute show instead of 60. But would have been longer if we had the interview and such. We'll get Creasy on the show later in the season just to get his thoughts on such, and hopefully we'll get that equipment issue worked out. But that's going to end it today for Extreme Radio, James. Like we said, Riverside travels to Ezell. We're traveling to Ezell for their first 8-man football game. It's going to be a fantastic game to see, and with all the other games going on, all the scores we're going to have to get reported. James is probably going to go a little bit crazy from having to manage the camera and report scores.
But speaking of getting the scores, hey, go get that Tennessee High School football app. Go look up all the 8-man teams, and then get the bell on. Subscribe to get the live updates, and there you go.
You know what the greatest news is for you on the high school reporting? Is that October 11th, only have one game, and then second game to report while we're there broadcasting from.
No, there's no games on October 11th.
Oh yeah,
the game's on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, you only have
Friday night off.
You only have 2 games to worry about.
I don't like that, but
yeah, of course not.
It is what it is.
Yeah, hey, the playoffs will make it a little bit easier.
Playoffs about to be fun this year.
It's gonna be great. Well, that's been today's show of Extreme Radio presented by GracePointe Healthcare. Go to GracePointeHealthcare.com. Mention you're with 8-Man Extreme when you request your appointment online. They just launched a new website, too. It looks all sleek and all beautifully designed.
Looks
so
good.
Go there, request an appointment online, and if you mention you're with 8-Man Extreme, you get $20 off your new patient office visit fee. GracePointe Healthcare, modern medicine the old-fashioned way. We're also sponsored by Dr. Sterling Foster. Go to drsterlingfoster.com for all your digestive issues and chiropractic needs. We got two.
We're also sponsored by Jets Pizza, man. All right, I said at the top of the show, it's good stuff. I hate that they don't have. They used to have a BLT pizza. I hate they don't have it around anymore. I haven't seen it. If it's around, I need you guys to hook me up because it's pretty.
You're talking about a deep dish BLT?
No, it's a flatbread.
Oh, flatbread.
Like yeah,
flatbread
it's
pizzas
good.
are good too.
I'm not a big flatbread fan, but this BLT pizza is pretty good. But hey, listen, if you're in Springfield, Clarksville, Fort Campbell, go check it out.
If you're
but
in any city,
no matter where you are, no matter what situation, it's never a bad time to say, let's get Jets. Jets, let's get Jets.
And then you got our
hey, listen, I got this. I listen.
You looked at me like you needed
Listen,
reinsurance.
all right. This guy knows what he's talking about. The website is IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Easy name to remember, fun name to remember, fun name to type in. Like I said, man, I've got a lot going on in my life. I've got to make sure that the insurance side of it is taken care of. I mean, I deal with 120 volts of electricity on and off throughout the week, so if something happens, I got to make sure that my family's taken care of. I got a wife, 2 kids. I got to make sure that they're in line. These are the guys. This guy's the one to talk to, Joe Graves. Just hit up their website. If their website doesn't work, go look them up on Facebook. But hey, he knows what he's talking about. There's a lot of insurance companies you'll hear the ads for on the radio that'll search around, look around, try to find you something. Just go check this guy out. Just give him a shot. That's all I'm asking. Give him a chance to look around and find the best deal for you. So IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Joe Graves, go check it out.
Yep, and just check his Facebook page because it was having a little bit of issues on his website earlier, but you search up I Hate Buying Insurance, you'll find that easy on his Facebook page. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Extreme Radio today. Again, we are broadcasting from, I believe, technically Nashville. We go over
No, it's Antioch.
It's Antioch.
Yeah.
Davidson County for the X amount of time since they're in Antioch. We're going to be broadcasting from Ezell Harding. What's their stadium name? You remember?
I don't remember what their stadium name is.
We'll
know
it on Friday.
I'll tell you what, though. Listen, if you need to know how to get there, take
Google.
24. Well, Google it. But, I mean, it's easy. Go. Get on 24. Get off on Bell Road. If you're coming from the north, take a left. If you're coming from the south, take a right. Just go. You'll see the school up on the right. You can't miss it. They've got a massive campus, big area, and then the field is back behind the school. So if you got nothing going on this Friday night, go check the game out.
Go in stadium or watch our broadcast.
Bam.
If you're in stadium,
Either one.
If you're in stadium, look for the banners.
Or go to one of the other games and then watch the game. Watch our game
and report scores for us.
Bam. That's all you got to do.
Give us some scores.
All you got to do.
Ezell Harding, Riverside Christian. We're looking forward to it. For James Shannon, I'm Spencer Tomsett. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on Friday night for broadcast.
See ya!